This past weekend, Christopher Nolan's latest film, The Odyssey, dropped in theaters to pretty polarizing reviews. Some are calling it a masterpiece, while others are calling it a disgrace to Homer. Which side do I agree with? Let's talk about it. Before I get into the review, I think it's important to talk about Christopher Nolan himself and the impact he's had on modern day filmmaking. Over the past 25 years, he solidified himself as one of Hollywood's greatest, if not the greatest, director working today. From the Dark Knight trilogy to Inception and Interstellar, he's just built a reputation for combining spectacle with ambitious, non-linear storytelling. And coming off many Oscar wins, including Best Picture and Best Director for Oppenheimer a few years back, he decided to tackle one of history's oldest and most complex stories in The Odyssey. And this is a film that very few directors are able to pull off. It's told through flashbacks and has a lot non-linear storytelling, and it's a grand adventure. But all of that is perfect for Nolan, and this was a perfect story for him to tell. And with that, let's get into the positives, and there are a lot of them. And the main thing to talk about here is just the size and scale of this movie. As I said, The Odyssey is a grand, sweeping adventure covering many locations, multiple islands with large monsters, epic battle sequences with hundreds of soldiers, and everything just looks so massive. Even something as simple as a small conversation inside a palace just feels so big. And this is just the type of film that is best seen in as large format as possible. It is so worth paying a few extra dollars to check this out in a premium format. Then, of course, with this being a Nolan film, everything feels not only massive, but also real and immersive. You feel the wear and tear these soldiers have had to endure of years of battle and hardship as they long to see their families. Every encounter, no matter how small it may seem, carries a sense of danger and weight to it. And as the film progresses, Odysseus's men get more desperate, whether it's to get a meal, to get off an island. Just it all goes back to their desire to go home and see their families. And with that, they start to make some irrational decisions. And it keeps you on the edge of your seat because you know with these irrational decisions comes consequences. Even something as small as eating cattle creates tension and suspense because you know the consequences are going to happen because of it. So as you get closer to the finish line, the tension never subsides. It only builds, and it continues to do so until the credits roll. And Nolan's dedication to practical effects over CGI adds to this level of fear and tension. There are multiple times throughout the film where our actors are put in tight, seemingly dangerous situations. Whether they're getting drenched in rain and water and wind through a storm, whether they're stuck in the Trojan horse submerged in water, or they're battling a cyclops which is made through a 60-foot large puppet. It all feels so large and so real because it is large and real. And it just creates for an unsettling, frightening experience throughout the entire film. And as we talk about the actors, the cast here is absolutely stacked, filled with A-listers, Oscar nominees, and winners. Of course, Matt Damon and Anne Hathaway lead the film, along with Tom Holland, who plays their son. But you have so many great actors in supporting roles too. Robert Pattinson, Zendaya, Lupita Nyong'o, Jon Bernthal. The list goes on and on. And while not all of them get the amount of screen time necessary to deliver a standout performance, for the ones that are, they're just able to tap into something that allows them to give a performance of a lifetime. The first one that I want to talk about is Tom Holland, who we all know as Spider-Man. He's got a film coming out in a couple weeks, so he's got a very busy month. This was the first role that he's had where he's able to actually be a thespian, be an actor, and not just a lovable actor in popcorn movies. While he's done dramatic scenes in the past, this film allows him to utilize his full potential, where he acts with such determination and leadership as he leads his own quest to learn the whereabouts of his father. And while he's not the best actor in this movie, he's able to hold his own against far more seasoned actors. And then Anne Hathaway's performance here is a little bit more restrained, doing a lot of acting using subtle expressions and unspoken emotion, just acting with her face and body movements, which is a lot more difficult style of acting. While her husband is on the way back to rescue her from these suitors, she's more than someone who needs to be rescued, a damsel in distress. As she acts with such intelligence and resilience. The next performance I want to talk about, and the biggest surprise here, was John Leguizamo. Now, I haven't seen much of his filmography. I know he's in Ice Age. He was in a movie called Chef, which I really love. He did have a dramatic role in Bob Trevino Likes It from a couple years back, but I've mostly known him as a comedic actor. But he's just, like everyone else, able to tap into something where he plays such a dramatic performance so believably, such acting with such loyalty and obedience, and he just gives a performance that I never knew he could be capable of. That's just not to say he's a bad actor, but the seamless transition from comedy to drama, he was able to knock it out of the park. And then, of course, you can't talk about this movie without talking about the man himself, Odysseus, Matt Damon. Now, I love Matt Damon. I even named my dog after him. And he's been giving fantastic performances for the last 30 years, from comedy to drama, even action. And this legitimately might be his best performance yet. You can definitely feel him as Odysseus as he carries the weight and burden of decades of hardship that he's had to endure. He's the hero of the Trojan War, but he learns that it has come at a cost. And that exact theme is something that was also explored in Nolan's most recent film, Oppenheimer. While they're both victorious in their own goals, they've learned that victory can come at a cost, as you have to make tough decisions along the way. And because of you, the world is not always safer. Your men are not always safer. And they're no longer the same man they once were prior to victory, and it's not for the better. The absolute standout moment for me was in the siren sequence. Like we discussed with Anne Hathaway, he's able to perform this scene without ever muttering a word, but you can see the pain, anger, and sadness he is feeling, and he's able to switch between these emotions in literally seconds. And that's why the ending of this film works so well when he's finally home and is able to confront the suitors. While it's very satisfying to see Matt Damon obliterate dudes left and right, being a one-man wrecking crew, it's even more satisfying knowing that this is because of all that he's given up, all that he's sacrificed, and all the pain he has had to endure over the years. And then one more thing about the casting of this movie. It's not a flaw or a criticism, just like a minor grievance that I had, and that's in relation to Jon Bernthal's character. Of course, Jon Bernthal is Punisher from the Marvel Netflix series, an ultimate badass. And while he's cast in this movie as a warrior, he doesn't get enough scenes as a warrior doing battle sequences to justify his casting in this movie. While of course he's an actor and is allowed to branch out and do different types of roles, when you cast a soldier to be a soldier, you want a little bit more out of them. You want them to do what we've seen them do in full capacity. Now, like I said, it's not a criticism. I'm not going to knock the movie against it. I'm definitely not going to knock him against it. It was just something that I would have liked to have seen more of. And if you're liking this video and you want to see more videos on film reviews, rankings of various franchises and directors, box office talk, and more, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing so you can see more videos from me. And with that, I wanted to talk about a controversy that has been circling the internet for the last few months regarding this film, and that is specifically the casting of non-white actors in this movie, and specifically one actor, Elliot Page, as they feel these casting choices were insulting the Greek people and the work of Homer by not fully capturing the work of Homer's vision or what society may have looked like at the time. Now, A lot of these actors are in the movie for just a little bit of time. These are the supporting characters, and none of them feel distracting or never took me out of the film. They have a few lines of dialogue. They're in a few scenes, some more than others, specifically when they're Odysseus's men. But the performances themselves, how they carry themselves, was a lot more important to me than how someone may look in a mythological movie. Now, would I have cast someone like Elliot Page in this film? No, but that's more because he was born a female and is of a petite stature, only 5'1", so he doesn't compare physically to Matt Damon and John Bernthal in this film. But like I said, Elliot Page is in this movie for 4 minutes. Lupita Nyong'o's in the movie for maybe 5. And if you're getting worked up about a movie because of a few very minor characters, then you are looking at the wrong things when watching a movie. And then another thing that I see people talking about, it's not necessarily a controversy, just more of a common nitpick, is the use of modern dialogue in this film.
You're pining for a daddy you didn't even know.
Now, the story of the Odyssey predates the English language. And using language that would have been correct at the time, whether it is Greek or whether it is a very old form of the English language, I felt would have put people at a distance as they are less likely to understand the film. When we watch movies, we don't need to feel like we're walking into a museum. We're there to enjoy, but we don't need to be confused the entire time by what is being said because we do not understand it as modern English viewers. I just wanted to give my opinion on the controversy regarding this film. This has just been circling the internet for months and has gotten quite out of hand, so I just wanted to address it in this video. But at the end of the day, controversy aside, I absolutely loved this movie, as you can tell by my review. It is going to rank very, very highly of films released this year. It won't be quite number one. Films like Project Hail Mary, I just resonated with a little bit more, but it is going to be an easy top 10. The film's not perfect. Did take me a little bit of time to get into it, but once I got into it, I was on board from that point to the end. For a 3-hour runtime, if you can keep me on board for 80+% of the movie, you're doing something right. Now, I haven't seen Christopher Nolan's entire filmography. I'm still working through that. And when I do, you can expect a video ranking his entire filmography so you can see where this film and the rest of his films lie. And I can give more thoughts on all of his films. So if that interests you, please consider hitting that subscribe button so you can check that out. And I do have plans for ranking other directors' filmographies, ranking various franchises, and of course doing more movie reviews. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next video.